Today, we're going to do some sentence structure practice questions. It's actually kind of hard to say, and we're going to focus on some pretty tricky modifier questions. Now, each one of these questions features the most important GMAT sentence structure. Now, I'm going to show you what that is and how it works, and I think you're going to find that, first of all, it's really easy to identify and surprisingly easy to diagnose. And just for being here today, I have a free gift, 3 simple strategies to raise your GMAT score 30 points today. Now, I teach all of my private students these same strategies, and when they start to use them, scores go up a lot. And I think yours will too. It's going to help you a lot, and most importantly, it's free. You get to download it right there in the description. Okay, let's move on to those sentence corrections. The single most important sentence structure on the entire GMAT is this. The intro phrase with comma. Yeah, okay, so I'm going to explain what it is. Intro phrases with commas look like this. A leading figure of the Enlightenment, comma, discovered by scientists in the 1890s, comma, capable of reaching 110 stories, comma, quiet and stealthy, comma. Notice that none of these phrases have the main subject or verb of the sentence. They're really just introductions, and what they're really doing is they're just describing something. They're modifying something. And intro phrases with commas work like this. What I want you to do is always ask yourself who or what, and then what we want to see is the answer to that question immediately after the comma. For example, who was a leading figure of the Enlightenment? John Locke. What was discovered by scientists in the 1780s? Uranium. What is capable of reaching 110 stories? Hydraulic lifts. What is quiet and stealthy? The rare African field mouse. Now, would we be most comfortable if we just got African field mouse right after the comma? You bet we would. But sometimes you have to live with an adjective or something in front of it. But mostly we want the answer to the question immediately after the comma. So let's take a look at some examples, and you're going to find this is incredibly helpful. The largest of all the planets not only is Jupiter 3 times more massive as Saturn, the next larger planet, but also possesses 4 of the largest satellites or moons in our solar system. All right, so as we look at this, do we have an intro phrase with a comma? You bet we do. The largest of all the planets. Who or what is the largest of all the planets? Well, Jupiter is. Do we get Jupiter right after the comma? No, we don't. Do we want Jupiter right after the comma? Yes, we do. That means A is out. That means B is out. That means C is out. We're down to D and E. And what do we think between D and E? They're pretty similar. Initially, we're attracted to E because we like Jupiter is something. We get the subject and the verb. But E has a problem. E has more massive as Saturn. It has to be more than Saturn. D gets the comparison right. 3 times as massive as Saturn. That means our answer choice is D. A leading figure in the Scottish Enlightenment, Adam Smith's 2 major books are to democratic capitalism what Marx's Das Kapital is to socialism. Okay, so do we get an intro phrase with a comma in the sentence? Yeah, we sure do. A leading figure in the Scottish Enlightenment. Who was a leading figure in the Scottish Enlightenment? Adam Smith was. Do we get Adam Smith after the comma? Well, it kind of looks like it, but in fact, no, we don't. We get Adam Smith's 2 major books. We get 2 major books. We don't want 2 major books. We need Adam Smith, the guy, after the comma. So that's wrong. That means A is wrong, that means B is wrong, and that means C is wrong. What about D and E? So D is Adam Smith, okay, that's right, wrote 2 major books that are to democratic capitalism, similar to is strange. E, Adam Smith, that's right, wrote 2 major books that are to democratic capitalism, what Marx's Das Kapital is to socialism. I don't love that, but it's certainly better than similar to. So we're going to go with answer choice E. Now, if you're stuck between answer choices D and E, right, you can't quite decide between them, Here's what I always want you to remember anytime you're stuck between two answer choices. Remember that the GMAT highly values efficiency over almost anything else. So I always want you to go with the most efficient sentence, literally the sentence that uses fewer words. And surprisingly, that simple rule of thumb, especially when you're down to two answer choices, works surprisingly well and almost always leads you to the correct answer. Digging in sediments in northern China, evidence has been gathered by scientists suggesting that complex life forms emerged much earlier than they had previously thought. Okay, do we have an intro phrase with a comma? Sure, you bet we do. Digging in sediments in northern China. Who is digging in sediments in northern China? I think that scientists were. That means we need the word scientist right after the comma, not the word evidence. That means A is definitely wrong and B is definitely wrong. All right, between C, D, and E, which one do we like best? I want to take just a second and pick on D. Remember in the last example, I said that the GMAT prioritizes efficiency above almost everything else? That is so true, and that means that awkward and wordy phrases are dead giveaways that the answer choice is wrong. And take a look at the last four words in answer choice D. Then that which was. That's incredibly wordy and awkward. In fact, I'm not even sure I know exactly what it means, especially compared to answer choice C, which just says earlier than, and answer choice E, which says then that. So D is definitely out. So between C and E, which do we prefer? C has a structure that we are highly attracted to. Complex life forms emerged. It has a subject followed immediately by a single active verb. That is super efficient. Compare that to a much earlier emergence of complex life forms. You see how wordy E is compared to C? Oftentimes, choosing between a couple of answer choices often comes down to efficiency. Now, there are a couple of other things that we like in C that we don't like in E. Evidence suggests that. Evidence doesn't suggest which. Also, we don't need that extra word that. Again, efficiency. So answer choice C is our clear winner. Always look out for intro phrases with commas. They come up all the time on the test, and we like that because they're pretty easy to diagnose. Just always ask who or what, and that's the thing that we want immediately after the comma. Okay, very nice job. Okay, great job. So this is all about these intro phrases with commas. And now that you know that they're there, you're going to see them everywhere on the test. And that's a good thing because they're simple to diagnose and they're either done right or they're done wrong. So it's a very quick way to knock out wrong answer choices very quickly. Okay, well done. We'll see you next time.